Hello, Serendipitous here with another video for the TCG shelf. And here I've got a really interesting one. I'm going to show you what I have for the Pirates Constructible Strategy game by WizKids. So, back in the I think early 2000s, my sister and I, the two of us, loved collecting cards and whatever, right? Pokemon cards, Digimon cards, and all that kind of stuff. And we came across this Pirates game, which, I think you can once I show you exactly what it is, you can probably see the appeal immediately. But obviously, it's a game about pirates, about pirate ships. But essentially, what it is that each booster pack had everything you needed to play the game. There would be probably about maybe 5 or 6 sort of like plastic credit card things like this with punch out pieces. And most of those would be for ships, some would be for islands, some would be for pieces of gold and whatever. But essentially you'd punch out the pieces and you would build a plastic ship out of it. So here's an example of a plastic ship. Not this same one exactly, but you can kind of see how, and there are lots of different types of ships, and I'll show you in a little bit. But essentially this was kind of like a sort of like a miniature war game of pirate ships, and you sail around to different islands, and you have the ship's stats, the number of points the ship is, the ship's stats, its allegiance, abilities. Sometimes there'd be a bit of lore as well on the back of them. And so what I have here in this binder is a copy of every single card for each ship that I have, pretty much, and I've organized them in terms of sets. Very unfortunately, this constructible strategy game has been out of print for quite a while. In fact, the trademark for this game expired October of 2023. Who knows if this game will come up again? I'd love for it to come up again, but for now, I have these, and in order to get anything new, you'd have to basically buy stuff off of eBay or whatever, which I have done that a little bit. But yeah, so the sets. This represents all of the different sets of something. I have something from each of these sets, and this is not all of them either. But we started with like just normal pirates. I think it was Pirates of the Spanish Main, and then Crimson Coast, which introduced the Pirates of the Spanish Main. I believe only had there weren't a lot of allegiances. I think it was there was Pirate, England, and Spain. It was just those three factions represented. There were ships from those three factions: Pirate, England, and Spain. Pirates of the Crimson Coast, I believe, introduced the French faction. Pirates Revolution introduced the American faction. Barbary Coast introduced the Barbary Coast, which, oh gosh, I don't remember if that was like Middle East or something, or somewhere else. Pirates South China Seas introduced the Jade Rebellion, which had a bunch of South China Seas like ships, like junk ships. And I'll show. I'm definitely pretty happy to have some of those really cool looking junk ships. Some of my favorite designs. Pirates Davy Jones' Curse introduced the Cursed faction. Pirates Mysterious Islands introduced a mercenary faction. Frozen North introduced the Viking faction, which is also really cool. Ocean's Edge. I don't know if they introduced a faction necessarily. They probably introduced a few other mechanics. I don't see any new factions in here. But also, I think there's like a lot more. I think you can find a lot more Ocean's Edge stuff on eBay than pretty much anything else. And there were a few other sets after that. Fire and Steel. There's like a demon themed one or whatever. But I don't have anything from those sets. So here we go. We have the very first set, Spanish Main, Crimson Coast here. This blue is from the Revolution. Here we have stuff from Barbary Coast. Sometimes, for some of these, sometimes my sister and I might have like just cut off everything we didn't need for the ship. I don't remember why we did that for a couple of them. South China Seas, Davy Jones' Curse. I have a bunch of stuff there. This was, oh gosh, what was after? It was, oh yeah, Mysterious Islands. And then Frozen North, I don't have much there. My sister created her own ship called the Magic Zephyr, so it's kind of have a piece of paper for that. Ocean's Edge, and then oh yeah, there was another set that it was a basically a crossover set with the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. So we have some stuff there. So those are all the ships, and then we get into crew. So there were a bunch of standard crew, like helmsmen, cannoneers, and navigator, and all that, all that kind of stuff. And each of the crew had their own various like allegiances and so forth. But there were also a bunch of like unique crew that you could assign to ships that had special abilities. And so here is where the crew starts. And there are some characters. There's actually some really interesting lore in this game, and I did compile it on a spreadsheet, but I haven't looked much deeper than that. But there's like was El Phantasma one of the there was like some recurring sort of like hero characters and villain characters and whatever and yeah, here we get some really cool portraits of some of these characters. Jack Hawkins was a recurring character. But yeah, like all kinds of really interesting, really interesting people here. Obviously, some sets represented another. Here's some really interesting cursed and characters from the cursed set here. Really cool. Frozen North there. I believe this is Ocean's Edge. And then, yeah, I do have some crew from Pirates of the Caribbean. So you can see, Cursed, Captain Barbossa, Admiral James Norrington, Elizabeth Swann, and then Tia Dalma and just a damsel in distress, basically. But yeah, I really love the kind of watercolor painting look that this game has. Really, really cool. I could, obviously I could go more deeply into like, what specific ships have and things like that. But I have a lot to show in this video, so I'm gonna have to go a little quick here. But also there were some things that were especially large that needed basically 2 cards worth of things. And these would come in special sort of like promotion sets and stuff. The HMS Hermes was this thing that's built this where it kind of is able to sort of like move around through terrain. There's a couple of dragons. Here's what one of these dragons looks like. So very cool. And then we have Ghostwalker, which, let's see, where do I have that? Here we go. This really cool looking ship right here. And this one is able to let's see, what's the ability? Wind catcher. Once per turn, one crew or ship within S of this ship cannot use it. Yeah, just kind of like it's able to catch up fairly quickly, or kind of like stop a ship from using its ability. But yeah, those are the cards themselves. And again, a booster pack would have enough cards for 2 ships and like a couple of islands, some pieces of treasure to put on those islands, and also a really, really tiny 6-sided dice. So everything you needed to play a very simple 2-player game, and obviously more booster packs would give you a lot more ships. So obviously, and by the way, this picture was drawn by my sister for this binder. So my sister and I both collected these, when they were in print, a while back in the early 2000s or something. But and then like after a while, like both of us just kind of stopped collecting cards in general. And then when I started collecting cards again in more recent years, and I found her collection, she was happy to basically give me her collection of Pirates cards. She's still keeping all of her Pokemon cards, but she was happy to let me keep all of her Pirates constructible strategy game cards. And so now our collections are combined, and I did purchase a few things off of eBay to add to that as well. So Those are all the cards, and obviously you can probably tell that I have a lot of ships and crew. So where are all those? Well, I have a bunch of boxes that keeps all those things. I'm trying to find a place to put it. I did want to briefly show that sometimes pirate stuff came in like tins like this. I don't have any pirate stuff in here. I just have like extra like cards for print and play stuff, but just like tins like this, cool painted artwork and everything. Just wanted to show that off briefly. Okay, so first let me give you a sampling of some of my favorite ships here. So I normally have these on display on a shelf in the room. I just kind of put them all in this box for easy traveling. But this contains at least one version of each of my favorite kinds of ship models. Unfortunately, I haven't really had much chance to play this game very much, and in general, if I had more time and money, and I would like miniatures games, Warhammer or like HeroClix or the Star Wars ship game or whatever, any of those miniature war games kind of thing. Those look really cool to me, but they're also really expensive and take up a lot of space. And so this Pirates Constructible Strategy game is pretty much the only miniature war game that I'm allowing myself to collect because it is significantly cheaper, mostly, eBay prices, who knows. But it also, I'm able to sort of like, it is slightly more compact, and honestly, I just love pirates stuff. So I'll briefly kind of go over each of these these pieces here. So there's a couple other kinds of sea monsters, right? So there's these two dragons, right? You also see I have a bunch of these sort of krakens, these giant squids here as well. I should probably also briefly explain like how the game works now that I have these ships out. So like I said, basically each card kind of like shared the ship's stats and whatever, right? You have how many masts the ship has. So a ship can have 3 masts like this one, or 2, or even just 1, or maybe this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 masts here, and this one has larger ones that have 4 or 5, stuff like that, right? Then you have its carrying capacity, so how much crew and treasure it can hold, and then the distance that it can go. And usually you measure distance with these cards. So an S would be, so S stands for short, an S would be white, and it would be the letter would be white, and you would kind of use this side, and L would be red to signify this side. And there are some ships that are faster that would allow you to go S plus L, or and if that's the case, it's vice versa as well, or S plus S, or even S plus S plus S, or something like that. But yeah, generally you would basically, if you had a ship that went L, then you would kind of touch this card at the bow of the ship, the front of the ship, and then move from bow to bow like this. Generally kind of like approximating as much as you can, and that's how much your ship would move. So in this way this is how you're able to sort of like turn them around or things like that, and like in pretty much in any direction, and you do that for all the various ships. And then if you want to attack, that's what this is for. There is one cannon, or one attack for each mast of a ship, right? And you notice at the base of each mast there is a dice, and you essentially have to roll higher than that dice in order to hit with that. And also the color of the dice signify the range of that cannon. White dice use short range, and red dice are long range. So on this one, for example, there are three short range ones. So if you wanted to attack from here, you basically would just kind of like use this card to measure from the center of the mast to wherever you wanted to aim, right? And if it was in range, then you could attack, right? And that's pretty much it. Here's an example of a ship that has a long range and a short range cannon, basically. That's pretty much how the game works. There are islands as well, and I'll show what those islands look like. But they're kind of like these, more pieces of plastic that you kind of like put down. And when a ship touches an island, then you're able to explore the island, take stuff from the island and stuff. if a ship takes damage, sorry about that. If a ship takes damage, then basically you just kind of like pop off one of the masts. And if all the masts of a ship come off, oh dear. Okay, well that's one of the weaknesses of this game here. Wow, that has not happened to me before. Sometimes things are a bit brittle. I'll just have to glue that together. Boy, okay. Did not expect that to happen. Anyway, when an entire ship loses its mast, then it basically becomes derelict. You can take it apart and put it back together. Obviously, you have to be kind of careful with it, and usually I am. I did not expect that to happen. Oh boy. Well, okay. I'll just have to put that somewhere for and fix that later. But anyway, that's there's rules for ramming, for boarding, for pulling derelict ships around, towing derelict ships around and things like that, right? And yeah, that's pretty much how it works. And generally, you would only choose ships that are of the same faction, right? So you have like a pirate, like a fleet of pirate ships, a fleet of American ships, a fleet of Viking ships, whatever, right? Whatever you want. And I believe like some factions, like Mercenary, were happy to, you can have them with any like faction basically. So anyway, yeah, and same thing, similar rules for sea monsters. You'll notice that like tentacles and like the body parts each have a dice on them, which is like how they attack as well. So, and special rules for them that are on their card and everything like that, right? And then there's also this sea monster as well. Like just a very simple sort of sea snake kind of thing. There are a couple other sea monsters that exist in the game that I would love to have at least one copy of each. There's a crab monster and a kraken monster that just shows tentacles that kind of come out of the sea, kind of like this. So you can actually have a ship between the tentacles, and the tentacles kind of look like that around the ship and stuff like that, which is really cool. I showed this ship before, and I showed this ship already as well. A lot of these ships are kind of more standard 1 mast, 2 mast, 3 mast, and things like that, or of different kinds like schooners or whatever and stuff like that. But yeah, if you look closely, you can also like each ship has its name on there. Like for example, this one is the USS Constitution, Old Ironsides. This game was both historical and a bit fantastical, and I like aspects of both of them. Here's an example of a kind of Barbary Coast style ship, even though this is for the Cursed faction. This is the kind of ship that was introduced in the Barbary Coast, or maybe in Frozen North. I cannot remember. Barbary Coast. Here is a ship from the Frozen North. I'm kind of a sucker for Vikings and Viking lore, Norse mythology and stuff. So here we have the Hrunting. Here, very cool ship. I mentioned junk ships from South China Seas. So here's what they look like. I really, sometimes they're kind of hard because you have to bend them in odd way. Like the deck is actually like sort of bent a little bit like a crescent moon, which is different from most other decks. They're just straight like this. So they're a little challenging to build at times, but gosh, they look cool, right? They often have more vibrant colors. Also, not all of these types of ships are part of the South China Seas faction. There are some that are part of the American faction or part of some or whatever, like they got commandeered or something like that. I also have a submarine here. This is the Nautilus. It has two modes, right? It has above water, and then you can just sort of like pop this off and show that it is below water as well. So that's pretty cool. And then I also have a couple of fortresses as well. So these are smaller islands that have a lot of cannon. Like each of these flags is meant to be maybe not every single flag, but they have like 5 or 6 cannons and some treasure and things like that, and a faction and various rules. And there are other types of ships and forts and weapons and things like that I would like to have in my collection that I do not yet. But these are all my display kinds of ships that I use to kind of show a good sampling of my collection and what this Pirates Constructible Strategy game looks like. There is also, and I'll briefly show pretty much all of the other ships that I have tucked away in boxes because goodness gracious, I have a lot. Like I have 100 or a couple hundred total. But yeah, if one of the main things that while I'm putting these away for the next thing, one of the main things that kind of prevents me from getting more ships is that, well, a couple of things. First of all, buying things off of eBay, especially out of print things off of eBay, can be quite expensive, of course. Especially in terms of like some people, wanting to be collectors and stuff of this game, or maybe just wanting to play this game more and whatever. I just like it can get pretty pricey pretty quickly, especially with shipping and everything. Also, I don't, just like with other things, I don't really have anyone to play this game with in person. My wife and I haven't really played this. She's not that interested in it, but obviously she supports me, in all of my hobbies and stuff. I did want to also, before I move on to something else in this collection, show this. So this is probably the most expensive ship that I own. I really wanted to collect this ship in particular. This is a special Christmas promo ship called the Sleigh. I believe basically, at least at the time that I bought this, it was basically going for about $50, $60, $70 just for this special promo ship, essentially. I think it looks beautiful. And it also comes with its own unique crew, Captain Whitebeard. And the rules for this ship are kind of ludicrous. It comes in its own little sort of promo thing. And this is another promo ship, by the way, the Obago, but this is like the more expensive one. So yeah, the Sleigh, 25 points, its own faction, this holiday faction here. So yeah, the Joyside's attack. This ship cannot be shot at, and she cannot sink. She begins the game fully loaded with treasure from her controller's collection. Her base move becomes 6L when she has no available cargo capacity. And then Captain Whitebeard, 12 points, 12 and 25, haha. This ship may move and shoot using the same move action once per turn. This ship's controller may choose another ship and bellow ho ho ho. Any crew on the target falls asleep, and so the target loses her next turn. But yeah, it's silly and not at all like official, not at all meant to be played officially. But I'm just happy to have it because I think it looks wonderful, and it's just it sparks joy. It's just good fun, right? So I have this kind of in its own little box here, and yeah, I have the special holiday ship, the Sleigh, and Captain Whitebeard. So very cool. I'm glad to have this fun ship. So let me take a moment to put these boxes away, and then I'll show you the rest of the boxes that I have for this, because there are other components of this game that I haven't really shown yet. And I keep them in much larger boxes. So these two things right here, some older like board game boxes that aren't really being used for anything else. So let me don't have a lot of room here. Okay. So this box is for a game called Millennium Blades. Obviously, I'll have a video on the board game shelf that talks more about it. But I'm using this particular box to store all of these things. A lot of just kind of miscellaneous stuff, basically. So this is what islands look like. Just sort of these cardboard pieces. And you just kind of put them on the play area, and the ships, can like dock, and you put these treasure pieces on. This is every booster pack comes with a card that has about 6 or 9 treasure pieces. Yeah, they all look like this on the front, and on the back there is a number of treasure points, 1 to 6 or 1 to 9, I can't remember. but yeah, you put like a one or more pieces of treasure on each island, and you put them face down, so you don't know what the value of it is, and so on and so forth. On the back of a lot of these islands are various terrains. There's fog banks, there's Sargasso seas, there's reefs, there's ice flows, there's all kinds of things, and each of the terrains have different different rules to them and everything. Speaking of rules, I have a bunch of booklets and a bunch of extra plastic pieces. If I wanted to like cut up pieces and kind of create some like junk terrain, I could do that. But yeah, I have rules here. Obviously, this is the treasure hoard basically. They all just have numbers on them. Let's see. In here we have So there's also like you could use these pieces to kind of like stick into where masts used to be to kind of like show that this ship is damaged. Same thing here with like kind of like kind of stick these little pieces of fire onto the ship, and also just kind of other like junk pieces of a ship that's not quite complete and everything. If I wanted to make some kind of like shipwreck terrain or whatever. There are also special treasure pieces as well. So, and a bunch of tiny little flag pieces I don't know what to do with. There are special treasure pieces as well, and so this shows the rules for each of the... No, this is for crew. Different like firepot specialist, musketeer, oarsman. Like I have these little pieces to kind of remind me what the rules of each like of the normal crew is. And I mentioned tiny 6-sided dice. This is what they look like. This is how small they are. And you'll notice I have a bunch of them in there, one from each booster pack that my sister and I opened together. In here, here's where I have special treasure pieces. So there are some treasure pieces that instead of a number, they have some like a picture and a name on the back of it, and there would be rules for each particular kind of treasure, right? Like a treasure map or a particular relic or whatever. This is where all the crew are, like all the standard crew, basically. So you would have like this is all the special crew actually, but all crew pieces would have like the name and image on the front and their allegiance on the back, and then you would use their card to tell you what the rules are as well. And then these are all like just doubles. Like I have doubles of all of these here, and I just have that there. So those are all the various like different pieces that would be used to play the game. And the last thing I want to show from this collection here is the box that has all of the other ships. So I have this big Dominion box here. The Dominion cards are being kept in a different box because this box is very useful to hold all of this. Wow, I forget how many ships I have. But yeah, so these are all the kind of like more normal ships that I don't really have on display. You can see there are a few like junk ships here and there, but sometimes I tried sorting them sometimes with like the different kinds of ships and everything. But these are all the other ships that I have. This is where I keep them. If I don't have them on display and stuff like that. I felt like I didn't really have room to display all of the ships together. So I just have a select few on my drawer, on my desk, on my shelves and stuff. And then I have this box to show off, to kind of like store the rest of them for, maybe sometime in the future I'll be able to like make a really big game or something like that with like a big table with blue cloth to represent water and a bunch of terrain, and it'll be epic and cool and whatever. But anyway, there's a much longer video. There's much more to kind of show here, but yeah, I like this game a lot. I think it's really cool. I'd love for it to see a comeback. But in the meantime, when time and money allows and I feel like it, I might get a few more things on eBay here and there. I really appreciate. By the way, there's a very small community of people who still love this game. One of the most prominent, kind of like outspoken members of that community is a guy named A7X Fan Ben, and he has a channel pretty much dedicated to talking about the game and playing it and stuff like that. And I really appreciate his channel and all the resources he's gathered over the years. It's been fantastic. He has. I think he has pretty much done for the Pirates game what I have done for Brawlhalla lore. just kind of like helping to keep it going. And I'm in the Discord server. I'm not active in there very much, but I would love to see more of this game, and I'd love to be able to collect more and to just sort of continue to appreciate this game more. I mean, this is just a really cool thing on my trading card game shelf. So anyway, thank you very much for watching this long video. Hope you enjoyed, and until next time, all the best.